Hello students, this is Unit C. We're talking about the digestive system now, and we're going to see that's related to the circulatory system. So, there's our goal. I'll let you read that on your own. There is a picture of the digestive system I got from somewhere. Very complicated, and we're going to go through some of this. There's another one. Okay, so let's just learn about the parts of the digestive system first. So, of course, we have the mouth, and then behind the mouth we have the salivary gland. So it produces saliva all day long, and you'll learn how much in just a second here. It's kind of gross when you think about it. We have an esophagus, and then the stomach. We have a liver, a pancreas. There's the gallbladder. And then we have a small intestine, a large intestine, and of course the exit to the whole place, the tailpipe, the rectum. Okay, now if you watch where the food goes down the esophagus, into the stomach, and then it would go into the first part of the small intestine, called the duodenum. The food does not go into the liver or the pancreas. And then it moves through your small intestine into your large intestine. And then it goes up, across, down, and out. Now, a couple of things to note here, like I showed just a second ago. Okay, so food follows this pathway here. Now, right here, I want to stop. Food does not go into the liver and does not go into the pancreas. Okay, so we just stay on this intestinal path here, kind of behind there, and then squiggle around through here. Okay, so food is not going in the liver. The liver does secrete some substances, we'll see later, but the food does also not go in the pancreas. Those two things are not part of like the path where food goes into those. Okay, your gastrointestinal tract, that long tube, is not just 30 to 40 square feet, 30 to 40 feet long. It's 30 to 40 square meters in surface area. If you look at the floor in the room you're in right now, if you take your guts and your small intestine, stretch everything out, it like covers an area kind of like that big, which is kind of disgusting when you think about, ooh, you could stretch that out that far. Anyway, starts with our lips, goes to our mouth. Then we have teeth, which are for physical digestion, which means breaking food down. You put a crack in your mouth, you chew it with your teeth, and you start to just break it. Then your tongue does taste. It physically digests, and of course you got taste buds that help you with the taste. Physical digestion, again, is just breaking food down. Your tongue pushes the food around in your mouth, help breaking it. Okay, and then you have saliva glands, which contain enzymes, and those enzymes they help with chemical digestion. So not just breaking food into bits physically, but starting to digest it, break the molecule down. So when you eat a cracker and you feel, you sense a sweet taste on your tongue, that's an enzyme starting to break starch down. And by the way, look at that. You produce 1.5 liters of saliva every day. So if you just opened up a pop bottle, a 2-liter bottle, and just let your mouth drip into there for 24 hours, it would be 3/4 full of slobber. Okay, so that's gross. So anyway, next. Now we have this thing called an epiglottis. It's a trap door that protects the lungs from food and fluid. So I'll do these and then I'll put that on there. And then your esophagus is 25 centimeter long tube. And food, when it's chewed up, is called a bolus. It travels from the mouth to the stomach, okay? And so, yeah, that's about 25 centimeters. And then your esophagus has these rhythmic contractions that move food. It's called peristalsis. So imagine if you had a marble and you put it into a kind of a squishy tube, but it was sort of sticky, so the marble didn't just drop down the tube, and then you grabbed onto it with your hand and just started squeezing it, kind of like milking a cow, squeezing your way down that tube. That's peristalsis, okay? Pushing the food down with muscular contractions. Okay, now let's just show you epiglottis here. Here's your epiglottis, okay? When you swallow, so there's your lips. Oh, what is that? Food is going to go down the esophagus, right there. We do not want food to go down here, down your windpipe, into your lungs. So this epiglottis right here, this thing closes off that area when you swallow. Okay, you don't have to think about it, your body just does it. So when you swallow, that's blocked off, food just goes down there. Now, sometimes you trick your epiglottis, somebody makes you laugh or something as you're chewing, and all of a sudden food is down here, and then that's choking, right? Okay, and somebody has to come along and hopefully you cough it up on your own, but if you don't, they gotta give you the Heimlich and pop that food back out of there. So then we have what's called a cardiac valve. It's a sphincter or a doorway, and that prevents heartburn and acid reflux. I'll do that in a second. I'll show you what I mean there. The stomach has a capacity of 1 to 2 liter in adults. Stomach walls pound the bolus, breaking it into chunks. So your stomach sort of punches your food and continues breaking it. Okay. Then we have the stomach is kind of divided into 3 parts. The fundus is the first part, then the body, then the pyloric. But anyway, let's look at where it says body. Acids and enzymes break food into a frothy liquid called chyme. And then we go into the pyloric portion where there's another valve into the small intestine. Okay, so food is coming down here. And here is the cardiac valve. So that door opens and lets food in. Okay, so food comes in. And then the fundus is the top, the body, and then the pyloric area. Anyway, 3 parts. So now food is in here, okay? And then your stomach actually sort of starts pounding the food, starts punching it, breaking it up further. And of course, inside the stomach is acid and enzymes, and that begins to break the food, and it turns into just kind of a liquidy grossness. If we've ever vomited, we kind of know what that feels like. Okay, so here's this chyme. And then there's another door here, the pyloric sphincter, or the pyloric valve, right here. And then now the food has gone into this, which is the first part of the small intestine. All right, and then now that we're in the small intestine, so the part I just showed you, so our food was right here. We had our chyme here. And then food goes into here. That's the first part of the small intestine. And then the small intestine squiggles and wriggles around here. Okay, and they've colored it different colors here because there's different portions for the beginning of the small intestine and the end. And then you go into the large intestine. But anyway, that's what's going on. So let's take a look at some of the notes here. So small intestine has 3 main parts. This is where nutrients are absorbed. So when you eat food, this is where the nutrients actually get into your bloodstream, right here in the small intestine. And there's 3 parts to the intestine. The duodenum, the first part, absorbs fats. The jejunum absorbs carbohydrates and protein, as well as the ileum. Okay, now let me just show you on this with my pen. Here's your small intestine. So they've cut it so you can kind of see like a side view. Then you've got all these tiny little like tubes or bumps here, okay? Those are called villi. Okay, and then I'm going to show you what the villi do. Here they are over here. Same thing. Here's a different section. All these little bumps, okay? All right, so let's look at what the villi do. So there's an example of one villus or villi. So take one of these. This is what it looks like, okay? It's got this hump to it and all these little cells, and the food can go right through these cells. And then we have two vessels here. Here's our blood vessels we talked about last time. So artery, vein, capillaries, right? And then this one here, this is a different vessel altogether. This is called a lymph vessel. You've got blood. You've got this whole other circulatory system that's called the lymph system. And we're not going to cover that too much, but there it is. Okay, so how does this absorb food? Well, let's go to the next slide. Okay, now we're zoomed in a little bit here. Now, I'm going to just represent glucose or carbohydrates with pentagons, and protein with these diamonds, and fats with these triangles. Basically, these simply go through these cells and they end up in the blood. These ones end up in the lymph. Okay, and then off they go to Neverland. Off they go to where they need to go. So in the bloodstream, your heart will just pump those around the body. Okay, so let me erase all that. So these things are just being absorbed into the blood or the lymph, and then off they go to the rest of the body. Okay, so that's how food enters your blood. When we were talking in the circulatory system, we talked about how oxygen enters your blood when you breathe, there, oxygen just got into your blood. Same thing's going on when you eat food. It has to get into your blood, and here's where it gets into your blood. Okay, so cool. All right, next. Okay, we have a liver that produces bile, which is this green liquid that helps digest fats. We have a gallbladder, which is a small pear-shaped organ underneath the liver. The gallbladder stores bile produced by the liver and then secretes it for digestion. And then we also have a pancreas, which secretes enzymes and these things called bicarbonate ions that buffer food and acid coming from the, I got a spelling mistake there, from the intestine, into the intestine from the stomach. Okay, so let's fix that. Okay, so here's your liver. Now food ends up right here, and the liver produces bile, and bile gets stored in this thing called a gallbladder. And then when your body needs, when your food enters this area, we squirt bile onto the food, and that helps digest fats, okay? At the same time, we also have a pancreas. And the pancreas connects here as well, squirts into here. Enzymes, like I have here, and bicarbonate ions. So that helps buffer the food and the acid. So remember, this was acid here. Well, we don't want the acid to go into the rest of our body. So this is where we kind of neutralize the acid. Okay? All right. Okay, and then we have a large intestine, which is basically a storage facility for wastes or stool. And that also absorbs some vitamins and water. And there's a bunch of different parts to the large intestine. I'm not going to make you remember all of those. maybe the basic ones: ascending, transverse, descending. And then we have the rectum and, of course, the anus. Okay, so you can see our food traveling through the small intestine. Now let me just break all that down here. Okay, so the ascending colon. So your food has gone through, like we showed you here, through your small intestine. And then we have this door, the ileocecal valve right here. Door into large intestine. Okay? And then the first part of the large intestine here is the cecum. And also there's this little organ sticking off of here. That's your appendix. Okay? Now, as food goes up, that's called the ascending colon. So large intestine and colon are synonyms. This is your large intestine or your colon. Okay. Then transverse means go across. And then we have the descending colon down. And then at this point we're in the sigmoid colon here. And then we have this pouch called the rectum, okay, and then anus. All right, there you go. It's in the small intestine where most of the food is absorbed. In the large intestine, this one, that's where some nutrients and water get absorbed, okay? So your food, which is, in a crude term, turning into poop here. Your food, as it's traveling through here, the water in that food gets sucked out and put into your body. Okay, like through your. I don't mean to show it. It's not going into your pancreas, but the water's getting sucked out, sort of like the villi do in here. The water's getting sucked out of the food and into your body. Okay, so there's another look at the colon. So up, ascending colon, transverse, down, descending, sigmoid, rectum, anus, right? Don't forget that little guy there. That's the appendix. There's what a real intestinal system looks like. It's been extracted, it's in water now, but can you tell what these things are? What do you think this is? What is this? What is this? What is this stuff? Right? So if you said stomach, you are right. This would be the duodenum right here, the first part of the small intestine. This is transverse colon. And this in here is more small intestine, right? All right. Put a little cartoon in here. Look at this. There's your politicians and there's your taxpayers. That little outhouse there. What is this? This says employees, so this must be employers or something like that. Anyway, that's a cynical view. And here would be a digestive system diagram, maybe a little more complicated. Okay, so I'll see when we're in class. I'll show you how we would do this. Okay, I think that's it. There's the liver. There's the gallbladder. There's the first part of the small intestine, the duodenum. Of course, this is the pancreas. So just kind of isolating that system. Okay, so that's it. So thanks for watching, and there will be some work to do. Okay, we'll see you next time.